Good evening from New York. At some point in the future, you or a loved one will be dying. You'll want to know all the options and their implications. But thanks to the Republican Party today, Sarah Palin, Senator Chuck Grassley, and others, thanks to them, if you cannot afford to have your doctor at your side for those questions, you will face death on your own. Our fifth story tonight, how Sarah Palin's functional illiteracy and a senator's dysfunctional pandering just killed reimbursement for end-of-life counseling. Senator Grassley, top Republican on the Finance Committee at the center of the healthcare talks, put out a statement today saying, quote, "We dropped end-of-life provisions from consideration entirely because of the way they could be misinterpreted." Misinterpreted, of course, by him, deliberately, to his constituents, on tape, as, quote, "death panels." Quoting the AARP, a sensationalized misinterpretation of a common-sense, compassionate, and bipartisan measure. A misinterpretation the GOP has happily, enthusiastically endorsed.
I just wanted to get your reaction to some of it from many of your co-party members, former Alaska Governor Palin, who calls these panels that are essentially going to be dispensing care or deciding it, death panels, that sort of thing. Is that proper? Is that right?
Well, I think it's proper because it's within the context of what people are seeing in some of the legislation that's floating around out there.
Death panels, a key issue stoking fear and fury at town halls around the country, a goal Senator Grassley now admits he was pursuing even while he was pretending talking bipartisanship.
If I had not been at the table, there would have been a bill through the committee the week of June 22nd, and it would have been through the Senate by now because there's 60 Democrats. So I think that I have, by sticking my finger in the dike, I've had an opportunity to give the grassroots of America an opportunity to speak up, as you're seeing every day on television, and I think that that's a good thing.
Stick your finger somewhere else, Senator, and see if your honesty is stuck there. And the woman who trumped up death panel phobia, unemployed Alaska blogger Sarah Palin, posted last night a lengthy, for her, defense of it, with footnotes. If she had not just screwed over poor dying people with her fear-mongering, it would be almost funny. Except that on Healthcare Decisions Day in Alaska last year, Governor Palin proclaimed one of her principal goals was to encourage hospitals, assisting living facilities, and others in a statewide effort to provide clear and consistent information to the public about advance directives. But now she blogs that Section 1233 of the House bill, subsection H, according to her, requires consultations. Quote, "Practitioners must explain the continuum of end-of-life services." And she cites a Washington Post editorial page opinion that says essentially the same thing. Here's the problem. Unless you can actually read, Section 1233 does say, quote, "Such consultation shall include the following," listing all the end-of-life stuff. But what consultation shall include the following? Turns out Section 1233 is just amending a Section 1861 of the Social Security Act, which is just a list of definition. So, Ms. Palin, when it says such consultation shall include the following, it does not mean doctors have to include the following in their consultations. It means the definition of reimbursed advanced care consultation includes any of the following. Got it? Oh, and the subsection H in your footnote, it does not exist. See the quote marks? The bill is quoting a hypothetical subsection H that it would add to the existing Social Security law. Good thing you do not have a job where you need to know stuff like this, right? Ms. Palin also quotes Gene Robinson of the Washington Post, who will presently tell us the sentence Ms. Palin chose not to quote from his piece. And to fuel paranoia, she quotes another Post writer, quote, "If it's all about obviating suffering, emotional or physical, what is it doing in a measure to bend the curve on health care costs?" Palin repeats the writer's suggestion that reimbursing doctors for this counseling gives them financial incentive to counsel patients to kill themselves. Point of fact, end-of-life directives, quote, "save money," unquote. Newt Gingrich said that. And point of logic, if your patients kill themselves, you stop making money off them. As promised, MSNBC political analyst and Washington Post associate editor, as well as Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist, Gene Robinson joins us now. Good evening, Gene.
Evening, Keith.
So Sarah Palin quotes your column, and the quote she used was, "Citizens are not delusional to conclude that the goal is to reduce end-of-life spending." I want your response, but if you'd first read the sentence for us that immediately followed that, which she left out.
Yes, the sentence in the same column immediately following is, quote, it's irresponsible for politicians such as Sarah Palin to claim, outlandishly and falsely, that there's going to be some kind of death panel to decide when to pull the plug on Aunt Sylvia. So, yes, Sarah Palin somehow is bolstering her argument on death panels by quoting a column of mine that calls her out by name specifically as outlandish, false, and irresponsible for making up this whole death panel canard.
So she proved the point of the column, and I'd call what she did with the quote intellectual dishonesty, but it would imply some intellectual capacity on her part. But moving on, the point of what you wrote seemed to be that the president made a strategic mistake by linking reform of health care to cost cutting, and that linkage, however tenuous it was and theoretical, opened the door for Grassley and Palin and others to obfuscate successfully, as it turns out today.
Yeah, I question that strategy, or at least how it was carried out tactically, because it seemed to me to have created an opening for the likes of Palin and Grassley and the crazies at the town hall meetings. If you say we have to reduce healthcare costs, and you say we want to encourage end-of-life counseling, which absolutely, by the way, we should encourage, and Medicare should pay for. You know how difficult that time of life is. You just lost your mother, Keith. I lost my father in January. These are wrenching decisions that families have to make. It is so much better if they are thought about beforehand, and so absolutely Medicare should pay. But if those two concepts are allowed to be linked, cut costs, talk about what to do at the end of life, it does create this opening for demagoguery, frankly, and that's what's been going on.
What will it say about Democrats at this point if they accept exclusions like what Grassley and Baucus have pulled off, which they know are based on, to use a polite version of it, bullcrap? Well, what will it say about Democrats? It will say that there is not yet, and it's awfully late in the day, a unified, coherent Democratic vision of exactly what this health care reform package is supposed to look at. And I think, frankly, that President Obama, while he has gotten, as he would say, 70% of the way by essentially allowing Congress to do it and see what they come up with, I really think he needs to help define it. And we were at the point where Congress is going in all its different directions, and now with the recess in the town halls, it seems the debate is a bit out of hand. Gene Robinson, MSNBC political analyst, also, of course, of the Washington Post, and as always, Gene, thanks for your time tonight. Great to be here, Keith.